You're watching Co-op for Two, and these are our spoiler-free first impressions of Regicide Legacy.
You're watching Co-op for Two. I'm Jesse. I'm here with Greg.
Thanks for having me on your channel.
And we're doing something different today. We're going to try a first impressions video without spoilers, but we're going to take you on our journey through this game, this campaign legacy game.
Now, we are going to talk about the first mission because everybody's going to play that first. I mean, there's no real spoilers, right? So you're going to need to do that to talk about the mechanisms of the game, I think so.
So first, a little bit of history. I just picked this up at Gen Con sight unseen, and Greg and I had a little confusion because it's Regicide Legacy. We were talking about Kinfire. Kinfire has a legacy. We sort of got confused. And of all the games I picked up at Gen Con, this looked terrible. Like, I watched the video for this.
Really?
Well, I mean, it just looks like a deck of cards.
Wait, hold on. I want to talk about the Kinfire thing real fast. So you said I got this new Kinfire game. Now, I've played the Kinfire, the card game, and I own the Legacy version, the Kinfire Chronicles Legacy version.
Right.
And so it's the same way that this is set up. Is exactly the same as the way the Kinfire thing. It looks the art style is very similar.
So Regicide is about killing kings. I mean,
and then there's also in this one an attack called a kinfolk attack. It's part of the rules. And so I'm like,
are they deliberately doing this?
Completely different. I was like scouring. Is it the same? But there's no connection except for the fact. I mean, are they friends? Do they hang out and they just borrow a lot of ideas and art? It's kind of funny.
But I saw the video of this, right? And they're like, here's the game. You got that regular deck of cards. Here are your enemies, and all you're just doing is taking turns. It feels like a souped up game of war. You're like, I put a higher number than this. I do some damage. Looked terrible. And Regicide was a standalone game, no legacy campaign elements.
Which we neither of us played.
Neither of us have played. Yeah. And so I said, this looks terrible. But I saw enough reviews, and I'm a sucker for this legacy stuff. It wasn't cheap, $110, but I thought, maybe there must be something to this. It's so simple. It's so minimalistic. It looks so boring. There must be something good about it. So I took a chance, and we'll get into the game in a second, but sort of to cut to the chase here, it is good. Like, it was enjoyable to solve this little minimalistic puzzle.
So let's back. Couple things on this, what you just said. Number one, I think there are a lot of legacy games now comparatively to what there were, 5 or 10 years ago. However, it's still a pretty rare thing. I mean, there's a good number of them now. Now, to me, the legacy style games that excite me the most are generally the ones that are based on some game that I know works, which has a fairly simple framework that you can expand with, right? So you take Pandemic, that's our go-to, right? It's a proven game we know really well, and now we get to try a different version of this that can alter and change. But it's a proven design, and I think that's maybe, again, having not played the normal version of Regicide, it's kind of cool to be able to, to know that it came from a design that was well-received already, right?
Yes. No,
Ticket to Ride is another one, by the way.
Yeah, but I think you're making a good point that Kickstarter is flooded with these big, giant campaign legacy type games that are all story battle based. And it's so interesting that here we've got one that really does look like it's focused on a simple core game mechanic that gets evolved. And I think both of us were most interested in that. Shall we back up now a little bit and talk a little bit about the components? So let's talk about this bullshit first.
Is that a word you want to put in there?
Yeah. Okay. This is such bullshit. Okay.
I mean, you could look at it that way. I mean, but these are really nice little neoprene mats. This is a neoprene mat. I do like playing on neoprene mats. I mean, we have one here. So if you had basically a table, it'd be nice to have that. But the art is very lovely on these, although again, very minimalistic. This board itself, not as good to me, but I mean, it's like you are paying for that. I like them; they're nice,
You
but
are
they're
paying $110
they're
for this, though.
completely unnecessary to
Yeah.
have these, right?
Yeah,
They
they
don't.
don't do any. I mean, they it's useful
You're
to
the
have
blue
a
player.
space.
Does it matter that you're the blue player? It makes no
no,
difference.
no.
You know. Okay. So
Sure, if they were free, but it's just every game giving
Yeah.
you a neoprene map. It just seems just overkill.
I do think it's helpful. Now, what's nice about this actually, in terms of fitting it in the box, is that your board is way smaller. Although it seems like this could have been like tri-folded and put on top. I don't know.
At least this serves a purpose. Like you do track
But-
health, and
It's not the kind of thing. I mean, you don't really play your cards onto here, which is
Yeah.
why you would want a neoprene mat. So the mats
Yes,
are nice,
yes.
although really kind of wasted in terms of like, I don't know how much more they were to produce, but whatever. It's kind of like one of those things where like you're complaining about a nice component because you're paying for it, but it's
that's right.
superfluous.
That's a good category. Now, here's another crappy thing. This game comes with sleeves.
Okay.
And you were like, this is a deal breaker for me that you have to keep sleeving and unsleeving
Okay.
cards as you play. But that's not the problem. That's fine. Like you're putting stickers on things, so there's some logic to having to sleeve these. But the thing that we both remarked as so weird.
Now this comes in the original thing. You can see
right.
there's
Okay,
two different
So there's
styles.
a time when cards get like corrupted or something.
Okay, well, don't give it.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's not a spoiler. The point is something happens to these cards, but the difference between these cards is this
so
tiny
minimalistic,
little border, and it's important to know sometimes.
Yeah,
In
it
fact,
is
we
very easy to
often
not
miss
see
it
that,
while
yeah.
we're playing.
Yeah, so this is something
Just
you
don't
know ahead of
get it.
times that you're gonna have two different sleeves for the cards. Now the thing that I kind of push back on, I don't mind. It's nice that it comes with sleeves, especially since they do serve a gameplay
Sure.
mechanism, right? There is a
Sure.
reason that you have
Right.
these different sleeves. So I think it's cool that they did come with them, and the sleeves are nice, and it helps to shuffle and things like that. The thing that I didn't like is that they tell you to sleeve certain things and then unsleeve them, and I'm like, I'm not doing this every game.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we just earlier talked about having these tangents
Mm-hmm.
a little bit, and that's okay. There was now Dice Tower was obviously one of the biggest reviewers or whatever. And they
Yeah.
had this on their podcast. Used to have these tales of horror
Mm-hmm.
back when they had a podcast. I
Uh-huh.
don't know if they still do that, but and people would send in their little stories. And there was a story about a guy who went to a person that went to a game meet, and the person was like, we can't play this game of Dominion or whatever until everything's sleeved. So everybody had to sleeve the game, then play it. When they were done playing it, they're like, okay,
Unsleeve it.
all of it gets unsleeved. I'm like, no, I would not be a part of that. I'd be like, I'm
No,
not doing
I'm
this. What are
out.
you insane? Like,
Yeah, I'm
I mean,
out.
what you're going to sleeve every game before you play it? That's insanity. Find a new play group.
How do you feel about sleeving? Like I don't. In general, I'm not
No.
going to sleeve my cards to protect them.
There's a
I
couple
like
of
when
reasons
they-
I might sleeve them. Like,
Only if you're trying to hide some information that needs to be hidden.
if the cards have been damaged in some way, I might,
Where
and
you
then-
could see that's going to be like the fingernail mark. that
Yeah,
gets
there's a
put on.
couple reasons. You might like a game like Ultimate Werewolf or something, where like you use those secret rolls repeatedly.
Sure.
But yeah, I started sleeving my Marvel Champion stuff, and now I'm locked in. I mean, I'm never gonna undo. You know what I mean? So now it's like an extra. $10
The
every
other
time I-
time where it's occasionally, it's like you mentioned Dominion. Like anytime you have tiny decks that need to get shuffled,
Yeah, it is a lot
sometimes
easier
it's a
to
little
shuffle them.
easier to
Yeah.
push up.
Now we just did a review on Beasts, right? Or not Beast.
we
Yeah,
have
Beast.
these.
Where it was the idea of like this busy artwork where like you just want to know what's on the card to
This
play
is
it.
this is the
The
opposite.
complete opposite.
It's
look at
so
this.
beautiful
That's
too.
This is an
Yeah.
animal. This is an
Yeah,
8.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
a 4.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like it's really easy to see.
Everything
I
here
do
is
like
clean.
these little. They're different races. Like that's the
Yeah,
gnomes.
there's a little bit of flavor. They each have names,
yeah.
but it's so easy to
Halfling,
ignore and
cleric,
focus on the
warrior.
game.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool. I mean, I like some of the art style on this, because it is that simplistic style. I mean, I think
You
it's kind
could
of cool.
see. I mean, this is sort of going against the trends, but you could see, like, if you were the producer or whatever, you could say, look at this thing. Look how stark this is. Put some full color background and stuff.
Mhm.
But the fact that this shows where their heart is, where their focus is, really is on clean strategic gameplay,
Yeah.
and that's where everything is set up to facilitate
Yeah,
that.
I don't want to get into this yet, but I mean, because of the style of game it is, the approachability, the ease of play, and all this, like, and the speed of playing the game, like that's where all the art and stuff is in line with.
Yeah.
But I do want to mention this. There's a couple of things here. Boy, this is so cool. You pull this out, and that's your That's the second game. Is
That's
this?
it, yeah.
And when you beat it, then you go to the third game.
Well, there's
right?
yeah.
So, and the
And
other
there's
part of
yeah.
this, so I took this out.
Uh-huh.
It's got a pack of this
Each box,
each
each
box has one of
mission.
these
Uh-huh.
in there, and it is going to have your that when you've completed it, you've won it, you get to open this. And I think that
That's
goes
fun.
right into your soul,
fun.
into your and into like 7-year-old you
That
when you were like
dopamine gets flicked when you see that you
when
get
you
to
remember
open it.
opening those
It's a
packs of
nice
cards,
little
whether it was like
reward.
baseball cards or like comic book cards or gremlins or whatever, like whatever it was that you opened, that whole era, there's no gum in there, okay, but like that was the other thing about it, right? The crack it in half gum.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that is like, I mean, this is like a complete high, right? Having this, and it also serves a function. It's functional. This game is great for form and function, because this hides the cards that you don't want to see.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you don't. You really don't need that. You could just put the cards at the back of the stack with a stop. So you really don't need it. It is overkill.
I think I do need it now. Yeah, I love that. I think,
so
and also again, just from a graphic design, this matches this. It goes to this,
Yeah,
and then when
yeah,
you
yeah,
finish
yeah.
a mission, anything that doesn't carry over, I
Goes
put
in that
everything
box.
right back in
Yeah,
this box. I even put this little thing in the box. All goes in the box, and it goes away. It's so nice and neat and
It's very
streamlined.
elegant. And
Like
clean.
the graphic design and the time they spent to develop all of this.
Yeah,
I mean, it's incredible.
I agree.
It's
and
really,
it's,
really well done.
it's not just that. It's they deserve credit for going against the tide of the way these games are done, and it really is appreciated. Now, I want to back up a little bit and talk about. I think you know what. It's so interesting when we have these discussions. You don't realize things until we're in the middle of them. But keeping with this theme of going against the current of normal games, this legacy game does something else that I noticed in the Pandemic Legacy series, which is being walked away from in many of the campaigns and legacy stuff, which is that there's a very clear division between when you're playing the game and then between games, the narrative. When you play this game, you're just playing the game. There's no story elements that are happening in the middle of it. There's no, okay, stop, read this paragraph. Now, I love stories and reading paragraphs, but this game is, Aeon's End Legacy was like this a little bit too. It's like at the start of each mission, you get a little bit of story, which we don't care about generally. The story's not so good that we care about it here. But there's a story, there's an introduction, there's stuff, and then now you're playing the game. And you can focus on the strategic element. And when you lose it, you play it again until you beat it. It's a little bit of puzzle. And then when you beat it, then you get a little more story at the end. To me, as a gamer, that is a very enjoyable formula.
So I think now this is so. Before we really talk about the strategic decisions and things you're making during the game and tactical decisions, like the thing that I found, like this, the reason we played this, by the way, is because of how
because I bought it.
Well,
I brought it for us to play.
Okay, yeah, of course, yeah. We couldn't So, but I mean, the reason that we're playing this over another game that we might have had an opportunity to play is because this is so approachable.
Yes, that's true too.
Like, I think there's a mental thing that goes in your head when you think like, we're going to start a legacy game, or we're going to start a really complicated game or a legacy game. It's like, okay, we got to lock in. We're going to have to learn how to do this.
For 100 hours.
You're going to get a one shot through each, like you don't want to spoil anything. You want to make sure you got to learn all the rules, make sure you don't make any rules mistakes. This thing is like, you learn how to play in 10 minutes, and then you set it up in 5 minutes, and you're playing within like, I think from opening this up to we're playing the first mission 20 minutes.
I don't know. There's some subtleties you could get wrong, but you're right. Compared to a normal legacy game,
I mean, and the games themselves pretty quick.
The games
30
are
minutes,
pretty quick, and you lose, you reset up. It's very easy.
I love
to reset
that.
up again.
I love the idea that like I'm not going to get punished for taking my time through the game, right? I want to be able to play a mission, and I want to win it, And now I get why a legacy game might keep you on a track, like the Pandemic is like. You get 2 shots at September. Now you got to go to October, no matter what, right? So I really like the fact that we can play it again, and then
until you beat it. I do like that a lot too.
Yeah.
That is a little bit unusual. You could look at it from the other end, right? Like both of us look at this. We see 12 missions. Then you're done with this. the rules say that you'll have something you could
Yeah.
replay in some form, which I don't care about. I don't think you do either. But you could see someone looking at it and being like, all right, an hour each game, 12 games, $110. That's not a great bargain for things. But for us, that's very attractive over something like committing to a 200
Absolutely.
hour. There's no, there's no, well, there's a little bit of grinding while you're playing. I do think one of the knocks here from the games we've played so far, it hasn't happened to us. You said it's quick, but it does feel a little bit like work going through this enemy deck. And if
Okay.
you die at the end, I don't know how many I don't know how many times I want to keep replaying the mission. But so far for
Yeah.
us, how much have we played? 3?
We've played the first
The first 3 of 12. We
So
played,
we
a
played
quarter.
25%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've had to replay
Hence
a
first
couple
impressions.
missions twice.
No, I think we only lost. Yes, you.
A couple missions twice. I don't think we.
No. Because I was. If you lose, you're supposed to open up. It's M.
M,
Yeah, you open up M. Okay, so I'm resistant to that.
We played the
I don't
first
want to lose,
game,
but
we
eventually you're going
lost.
to lose one. So no, we played up till 3, and we didn't lose until we got to 3. We did because I remember because we didn't want to have to use open the M.
We opened an M on one fail, and then we had a previous fail that we didn't open the M.
Okay, well I don't believe, whatever, doesn't matter. Are you?
Don't you remember saying let's not open the M, even though we should have?
Oh yes, you're right. Okay, yes,
So
you are
we
right.
failed
so
twice.
we played the first game of this
And failed.
and failed,
then
and because
replayed it.
we were just getting to know the game.
Yeah.
I said, hey, let's just now that we understand how to play.
Yeah.
let's now
Okay.
go.
But anyway, so
had we played Regicide before, I think we would have gone right.
yes,
But
and
you're right, yeah.
we've talked about this with our review of Beast.
Mhm.
One of the wonderful moments of this game is you look at the rules; they're very simple, right?
Mhm.
This card has this effect. This card has this effect.
Mhm.
You see the numbers; it's all right in front of you, and you can see exactly. This is a very clever. This shows their heart and soul. They're in the strategic thing, like they're showing you this is
Yeah.
what you're going to face.
And you put
There's
this
very
over,
little surprise.
You put it right over that, and then okay,
There's
well,
a little bit of randomness, but
Yeah.
pretty minimal, very
Yeah.
controlled. So you look at this and you say, what's the strategy here?
Hmm.
And you go the first playthrough, and there are a couple elements. So let's just talk quickly
wait,
about
before
the rules.
you talk, just one last thing on accessibility
okay.
that I really want to drive home
Okay.
to me, like that is huge. This is probably the most accessible legacy game there is that I've played.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
To me, you're off and running in 20 minutes. Within 3 hours, you could have played through the first couple of missions. Like from opening the box, that's huge to me.
Aeon's End Legacy is pretty close, don't you think?
Yeah,
Similar
maybe.
set
I
of
think maybe.
rules, similar.
But
Similar
anyway, so
thing.
I think like that was such a big deal that I love to be able to set up a game and be enjoying it like pretty quickly. So now going
Right.
to
Okay, so maybe we should have said this first, but basically you've got a stack of enemies. Every mission so far we've played has been a very similar structure.
Yeah.
You get a stack of enemies that are sorted by difficulty. So you always go for the easiest ones and then
So
the
in this
harder
case,
ones.
just cars, then
That's
queens, then
right.
kings.
Then there's a tiny bit of randomness for each enemy, and they've got immunity from one of these suits, which you could see are from a standard deck of cards. And the suits basically have a strength based on the card, and then each of the suits have a special ability. These axes double the damage they do. The clerics let you draw more cards.
No, they put cards from the discard
That's
into
right.
the reserve again.
That's right. And the mandolin or whatever it is
bard,
is what bard lets you draw cards. And then the shields, the paladins, defend you from wounds. So you just take turns playing one, or there's a way to combine cards, doing some damage. If you don't kill it, he strikes you. All right. So one of the very cool things about this game is, I mean, there's lots of cool things about choosing what to play and then preparing yourself to take care of the damage. But this, to me, is the most interesting element. That when we played this game, we read the rules. We're like, okay, now when do you draw up? You draw up at the end of the hand. At the end of the time, you draw 2 cards. What's the rule? And there's no rule for drawing cards. As a matter of fact, you must play a card that lets you draw cards. That creates a really interesting decision.
It's a completely like fresh way of doing it. There's no
Fresh and
there's
fun.
no action. You're not like, I'm going to draw. Almost every game you ever play, you would draw up at the beginning or the end of your turn,
Yeah.
right? If there's some kind of drawing a card element. And there's no action that you can take just to draw cards, which is a slight variation. This is completely different. You have to play that kind of card. And if you are the because any enemy you face that has that same symbol, they're immune to this. So you can't. So you have to plan, and that's part of what's cool about
Yes,
knowing the
that's
enemies that are
right.
coming.
That's
You have
right.
some decision. It's just say,
You
look,
have to anticipate, like, we
you're
better have a
look, we're
full.
going to get a warrior or we're going to get a bard next. So we better play. Maybe it's not the best time to play the bard, but
Mm.
we might not be able to last past that enemy to the next one. So maybe it's worth doing,
Qu-
and that creates a strategic
Quick,
decision.
just a quick comment about that. Another indication of how clever and sophisticated this design is that it plays exactly on what you said, forcing you to make inefficient actions.
Yes.
Like, you're playing this card that would normally let you draw 9, but you can only hold 4, and that hurts, and you really makes you think. You're sitting there thinking, this is the right time to play this, but it's going to not make good use of it. Maybe I can figure out a way then to alter my previous plan so that I can get more use out of that card. But boy, are those good decisions.
Yeah, I think on the card drawing, it's really fascinating that, in a two-player game, you just go back and forth. If you play the 9, then you're going to draw, I'll draw, you draw, I draw, until one of us is topped off and the other one can draw the rest. So if one person is really light on a hand, it's not like everybody draw 3 cards. It's like, no, I mean, I get the 2 that I need to fill out my hand, and then if you're like really low, then you get 7 cards, And I think that's kind of an interesting thing. And in a larger player count, you spread that out more. So what I find really interesting here in the playing of the card, though, is that there's a number of things to think about. Again, it's very simple. It's really simple.
Yeah.
And that's the elegance of this game, is that the simplicity is there so that you don't have to learn a ton of rules, but the strategy is deep. Okay,
Yeah.
am I going to play my 9 because I want to do a lot of damage to this and I want to draw a lot of cards, but maybe, we don't need a lot of cards. I want to play a smaller one. Now, the other thing is that you get a bonus if you can kill them exactly.
Yeah, that's very
And so you
clever.
might want to choose a card that is that specific number. If you have it, you're like, well, maybe I'll use this. I'd rather draw cards, but I'm going to play this other card because I want to knock him out exactly.
It's not just a bonus. It's almost like a critical element in some of these games, because
Certain turns,
you get the enemies you kill into your hand, and often they're
it depends
much
on the
more
game, yeah.
powerful than your cards.
So on the opening scenario, again, I think we can talk about it because it is the opening scenario. When you kill this enemy exactly, he goes on the deck to be drawn, and he's way, again, they start as 10s, and that's the most powerful card you have, but then they're going to go to 15 and 20, and that's really essential to use to sort of ladder that up to get to be able to kill the other enemies. The other thing is, I think when we first played, there's 2 things that you're struck by. Number one, I was struck by, like, clerics aren't that good. I don't really care to play with the clerics. And the other thing is,
the clerics are the ones that take from the discard and put it into the available draw deck.
So I felt they're not that great. Then the second thought I thought was higher cards are always better. And then I realized that the cleverness of this design is that both of those initial impressions were incorrect.
That's right.
Okay, because number one,
that's a very good observation.
if you have high cards, they're powerful. If you have lower cards, if you have like 2 5s, you can play them together. That's called the kinfolk attack. And the 2 of them, now you have 2 symbols at a 10.
That's right.
Okay, if you have 3 2s, you can play all 3 2s. You just can't go over 10. So now you have 3 2s. Okay, well, if you had the bard, well, now you're going to draw 6 cards.
All 3 of those cards
symbols
add their ability, so it's a force multiplier.
It offsets, right? Same thing with the 3s and etc. So that's such a fascinating thing because you're going to get the benefits of all of those things. Now you may miss one because of the immunity of the enemy you're fighting, but the other thing is that's so cool is that all of those abilities are useful, and you need to you can't just be like, I'm going to do this every single time. Now, playing the armor first is very useful because that's going to block for you on your partner's turn and then back to you. Every turn that's going to be useful until you kill that enemy. The fighting one is good when an enemy has a really terrible immunity, which is usually the bard, because that's the one that will kill you. You will run out of cards and you'll die, right? So you want to kill them quickly, so you might want to always use the axes on the warriors on that. But then you need, at some point, you're going to start running low on cards, and you're going to need to put them back in the discard. So
that was a fun moment. We played a game not really worrying about those clerics and being like, they're not important. And then we got to a point where we're like, oh, this is not going to automatically recycle. We have to pay to get those cards back, and we almost died because we ran out of cards.
And I think that's so cool that you're like, look, this you want to kill the bards quickly, so maybe you don't play your armor. the bard resistant ones quickly. So maybe you don't play your armor down that one. Maybe you play your warriors. So you want to eliminate them quickly. Then there's other ones where like you're like, well, they're not really doing anything too terrible to us, so we can survive that longer. Maybe play the armor down. And I think that's pretty interesting. But then you might want to play your armor first, but you need your buddy needs cards, so then you want to draw cards, and then it's less attractive to play the armor, but maybe still necessary.
There's a lot of moments where you're like, this isn't the most efficient thing. Let me see if... Well, there's a lot of tactical decisions and trying to figure out what's right. But one of the things that elevates this game, though, is the planning.
Yeah.
Because as you were alluding to, there are cases where you're like, well, yes, I could kill this guy with this, but I can see that on the next turn we have to prepare for this. And that planning ahead is very good and important. And it even, like, the game obviously knows that this is what they're doing. They're like, here are tokens to help you track this so that you can plan. Another thing that you were saying about the 2/3s or 2/4s, the kinfolk attack, is that the game really leans into that. So, like, as you play, you're doing a little bit of, I won't give any spoilers, but it's also a little bit of push your luck there. You're like, okay, I have 2/3s. I could play those, but if I hold out a little longer, maybe I get another 3, or the other player could help with that. So then you're playing a little bit of push your luck game with those cards, trying to figure out, bide your time to do something.
Now, most of the time when there's like a game is pretty basic, which this game is pretty basic in terms of its mechanisms in, you want, and I think of like Codenames for this, right? Codenames is a pretty basic game. The rules are pretty, short and sweet. But there's that assassin that creates that hook. And I think this game has a lot of those little hooks. And I think like the animals are one. So the animals act as ones, and you would combine them with another thing, right? So this would become, this becomes now a 4. So the animals do a couple things. Number one, it allows you to zero in on
getting the exact
number. But also, it, like, if you had a really high card, you had like a 10 of armor, or of 10 of like the cleric, and then you put the armor version with him. Now you have an 11 of armor, and it allows you to do like a kinfold attack, which is to get that kind of double effect. So the animals are very, very useful. So you don't really want to kind of use them.
But also, you don't want to keep it in your hand for too long, hoping to find the best time to use it, because then you can't draw up.
But it is, I think you nailed it got the nail on the head, is that the efficiency, like as like a Euro, like I feel I'm like at heart mostly a Euro gamer maybe, and like efficiency is my thing that I crave in gaming. I always want to make those efficient actions. In this game, you have to let go of that. Because everything you do is going to be inefficient. You're not going to get the full value out of anything you're doing most of the time.
You say let go of it, but it's not letting go of it. It's that you're really challenged to make compromise, to figure out where you're going to give up a little bit of efficiency where it's needed.
Yeah, I think you got to make the best decision you can based on a variety of factors, but you're never going to make like you're not going to be making these optimal plays, I think.
You're going to have to balance a lot of things.
And I think it's so interesting to me that like when you play certain games, like I'm a big LCG player, like the cooperative LCGs, and like there's so much of that. Like if a lot of times you want to win, you're like, well, certainly this is the best card to play, but you might do something lesser because that's going to win the game for you. And it's hard to explain, but like sometimes you have to do, what is like 99% of the time, this is what you would do. And that 1% of the time, you have to be like, okay, this is a crazy move, but I'm going to do it because that's going to keep me alive. And I think that's kind of a bit what this game has, where you make the decisions that you have to win the game, right?
Yeah. Okay, so legacy elements, we've put stickers in here. We're not going to show them to you because we don't want to spoiler, but plenty of stickers that change the rules. Small changes to the rules. Can I just mention something about the Ruthless? Sure.
So, no, I love that was developed, and that's what we do for all these legacy games. Like your rule book.
I mean, Pandemic Legacy,
and it's like this is where the new rule goes.
Love it.
And you don't. I mean, like it's unbelievable, and I love that that's like a through line through all of these kind of legacy games.
It is.
It's fun, and also, excuse me, it's fun, but also it's like very useful. You don't have like it's easy to find things in the rule book. It doesn't get
and you
crazy.
Can go reread through the rule book, which you probably should between sessions to make sure you're not messing something up. Now, There's a whole bunch of small boxes here. We've only opened the one that when you lose a mission, it makes life a little bit
We've opened
easier
two.
for you. We have, what was the other one?
No, I can't say. We're doing non-spoilers. Man, you are like, if I was watching this, I'd be like,
People worry too much about sports. We opened two of them, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes, we did. Yes,
C
we
and
did.
M.
One of them was just, here's some extra, here's the stuff you use to do these upgrades that they want you to do. Okay, that leads to some complaints. I think we could talk about a little bit of complaints here. So I have a few general ones, but I do want to talk about the one that you and I discussed, because to me it's the thing that is lacking the most.
Can I cap off real fast?
Sure.
Up to what you're going to say, which I totally agree with, like the presentation, the ease of play, the jumping right in, the enjoyable nature of the game, all the clever like bits and hooks and things, everything up to this point,
Perfection.
absolute, yes.
Perfection
Love,
and
love, love,
unusual. Unusual,
yes.
and
Yeah,
if you're
like-
if you're looking
like
for this,
home run, home run,
Yeah.
home run, home run,
if
home
you're,
run,
and
home
if you're
run.
looking for like a strategy game,
all of it,
that's like a cool legacy strategy game.
Yeah.
That's not
Production,
90%
everything.
story. This really hits home, and both of us are really looking forward to playing more of this. So
Yeah, of course. So
we're loving this.
Yeah.
And a bit of a surprise. Now, if we had a wish list, I do think one thing jumped out to both of us.
Yeah.
As we wish there was, and maybe it will happen.
Sure.
We don't know.
Yeah.
But and that is, we both played this, and we both came out a little bit saying, "Yeah, there's definitely a campaign game. How much is legacy?" And the reason we wondered why are we saying that? Like there are stickers that are going here. There are rules changing. There's sticker going on cards. Why were we sort of hesitating to fully embrace this as a legacy game? And we realized what it was. Why don't you tell them what it was?
Okay.
We tried to claim who gets to talk this, but I've let it out.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, let me just say,
Yeah.
It's that we really were not given interesting choices to make in upgrading between missions. Like things changed. Each scenario felt different. Like here's some new characters, some new goals. But we were not given the ability to make interesting choices between games.
We were given some choices,
Minor
choices.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think there's two things that to a legacy game. Okay, when we played Aeon's End Legacy, like I did not like we enjoyed playing the scenario, but like I didn't really care.
Didn't
20,
really
30
care about
minutes,
the actual
we're
game.
done.
The actual
I want to
game.
get to the point when we are like making our upgrades and changing our game enough in terms of its mechanisms and our strategy for the character.
Upgrades, and we chose different cards, decks to bring in. We were making big changes.
Okay. So that's the one side of it, is the upgrading part of it, right? Which should still be campaign based, by the way. Okay. But the other thing is when you play a legacy game, right off the bat, like Risk Legacy, you're tearing cards up. You're drawing on the map. You're marking areas off. You're like removing cities. You're crumbling things. Your game within the first 3 games of like Risk Legacy or Pandemic 1, 0, 1, or 2, that your copy is not like anybody else's. You have your own unique copy that has writing on it, ripped up stuff, stickers that change like characters. People die. Characters get eliminated. I have my boards for like because I played four playthroughs of the Pandemic. So I've got 4 different boards, and I've got them like as a little memento, and I thought about putting them up or something, which is kind of a good idea. Like, and we did write on the cards and name things and put stickers on for Aeon's End Legacy, and we played different legacy games, obviously, other than those, but you have, it's almost like a piece of art, right? So those are the two things. Legacy means mine is unique, completely different, and also we've upgraded and changed the way we play the game completely differently.
Well, you make a good point that that wasn't even part of what I was thinking and saying. I was saying about decisions to upgrade. We didn't get
twofold.
them. But you make a good point. The other thing that's happening here, and we played our first game with that in mind, and we were like, how should we end this? Because maybe it's going to matter if this deck was full or not. And we got to the end, it's just like, put everything away. Here's the changes. It doesn't really matter how you played that game or what happened. The changes don't aren't based on that. And if you lose, nothing changes. So it is like, it does feel like a little low stakes in that sense. Whereas something like Pandemic Legacy, the stakes are so high because you're like, if we mess this up, not only do we lose this game, but
Really?
here are some actual changes that happen.
You might end a game early. You might lose a game quickly if you realize you don't want those negative
and
impacts.
there's none of that so far, at least for us.
So a normal legacy game, like the amount of design that goes into it is absolutely staggering, because you got to think about, like, once you make a branching path, you put a sticker on something, you change something on the board, you've created a branching path, and now that creates paths, and that creates paths, and you have to be able to foresee all of those different things and have them all play tested. And it's almost basically impossible to do so, because, like, there's so many
hard. It's very hard.
Now you can see that certain amounts of a legacy game must stay on the rails. Okay, and I haven't played the one I just mentioned about the railroads.
Ticket to Ride.
Yeah, so I don't know how well they do it or whatever, but, like, there has to be some guardrails to keep the game moving forward. And we mentioned that I like the fact that we can play these over and over again, but you can't, like some of the games force you on after a moment, but this one you have a different way of doing it. But there has to be some guardrails. This one, you are on a complete track.
This really is a campaign game.
It's a campaign
so
game.
far, quarter through, they could have made this as a campaign game. There is really no need for any of the stickers or any of the minor randomness to the upgrades. They could just give you, here are the cards that you put in.
And look, they could like have some big surprises for us, but I feel like the first 25% of the game, it's so movies, they tell you, like, the first 10 minutes have to grab you. I mean,
if it's not now,
if it's not in the first 3, they give you some big punch with a big thing you can change or do. It's not coming,
I think, But I mean, this sums it up well. Like, we are so much enjoying the campaign nature of this, and rules change, but it doesn't really feel like a legacy game. Now, 2 other things are missing here that we're used to. One of them is related to the legacy thing. It's very odd. There's no asymmetry here between players. We have none of our own stuff.
That's true.
We have our hands. We have our hands that we get dealt out, but we don't have any special abilities. That's a little odd, especially for a legacy game.
We love to have that asymmetry with characters or whatever, but I don't think. I mean, this game is like, I think that I keep going into that, like, the simplicity, the ease of play.
I agree.
Like, I mean, that's a big deal to me, to get involved in it and enjoy it, and the streamlined nature. But I feel like every time we play, every moment, every round of this game, every turn is really fantastic to me.
I don't disagree with any of that.
But but I do think it is odd that you don't have that asymmetry. Yes, and I don't see how you would have it, but maybe we could even get it. I don't know.
You could easily see how you have a little bit of special abilities, but as much as we do like this as a strategy game, I mean, Regicide was a standalone game. I wouldn't want to play the same mission here 100 times.
No,
it is a strategy game. You could play this, but it's not that fun. It's not that fun to go through.
To be fair, we haven't played regular Regicide, and in this rulebook
they
do mention that, like, there are a couple of rules changes, a few rules changes. But I mean, that's one nice thing about the jump off point, is that, like, you're coming, as I mentioned before. I guess I already said that, but I feel like, this is
as much as we're enjoying this, like, I really don't want to play a mission more than a few times.
No.
That's a weird thing. Like, we're talking about how much we enjoy the strategy game, but we really don't want to play a lot of it.
It's like any scenario.
We need a new thing. It's just enough.
Yeah, this is like, and again,
puzzle.
I think of it as we've said, more of a campaign kind of style game. But I really love games that add a little bit. There's a little bit more rules, a little bit more. You're getting a little bit more each time. To keep things fresh. And I think that's what's happening.
And it makes a puzzle. It does make a puzzle that you have to play strategically different. But once you solve that, after 3 games of it, the 2 of us at least, I don't want to keep playing that mission again.
We played 5 games then, technically, actually. So, but once you kind of, and I think that's the best way to play a game, really, is you play it once and you're like, okay, we lost, and I know how to, I have a strategy how to win it. That's great. Or you kind of figure it out and you solve the thing. That's super enjoyable. But yes, I don't like this would be if it were just the first mission,
Mm-hmm.
that would be a filler that I would be like, that was fun. I liked it.
Uh-huh.
But but it would just be relegated to
Yeah.
filler, not that often you'd play it.
And there is some luck. Like we played a game where we were like, we got these two in this order.
really-
like we're
yeah.
how you can't win it.
Yeah.
So there was some, but it's
We did
quick
win it.
enough. We did win it.
We did win. We said there's no way we could win this, and we
then
did
we
win.
did win.
But that I think there
We could
are
get
some
unlucky.
combinations because and I think this could happen in the first game. If you get too many people that block the
You can't draw cards. You could
can't draw
easily
cards.
get into a situation where
if you
can't
get
draw cards.
two bard immune characters right in a row that you have to fight, you can and if they're tough, you might not be able to win. That could
Yeah.
just lock you out because you need to draw cards to survive.
Yeah.
Because if you take the hits and stuff like that, so
But
it
you
is-
lose, you play again.
Yeah, that's what's nice about it. You play pretty quickly. Again, that's that ease thing. You play. Oh, we lost. That sucks. You do. You maybe you open up that thing. We won't talk about that, but you play again, and now you have a better strategy as how to beat it, which is a really nice cadence to have in a game. Magic. I always think of things like Magic Maze, where you're like, oh, here's the game. Cool. I like playing this. Okay, but now we've got it, and then it's like, well, here's the next mission.
Yeah.
We're gonna add this and this. I always kind of think about that game as kind of my benchmark for that sort of thing. When it's just like you don't get overwhelmed. You enjoy playing it, and every time it's like an expansion that you just get a
Just
little bit
added
each
extra.
time, a little
Yeah,
bit complexity, and you naturally learn that rule because you've digested the rest. It's like the best way to ever play any kind of game, really.
I mean, you and I are on the same page, and you give us a game that's like, here's 15 games, 20 games you're going to play. Each one gets a little better, and then you're done. For us, that sounds great. Some people look at that and they say, "What? You can't?"
Yeah.
Anyway, any other thoughts you want to add to?
No, I mean, I
Regicide
think
Legacy?
I think just to sum it up.
Mm-hmm.
Summing up, I think
First impressions, obviously.
first impressions again. Yeah, first. I think again, you open the box to playing it is so insanely fast. Within 20 minutes, I feel like you'd be playing, and within an hour, you'd have your first game under your belt. I feel like some very clever things in terms of the immunities and your first thoughts, like, oh, I assume this is the way it is, and that's you have to kind of get into those unique hooks that you sort of learn, which I think is really pretty cool. I love the combination of how they figured out lower numbers work together powerfully, bigger numbers are powerful on their own, and I like those animals to mix things up. And then there's a bunch of different cycling you got to do to kind of keep the engine going, and then of course hitting them on the exact damage is the other thing to think about.
Clever.
Yeah, very, very clever. Although it does. Oh, the one thing we didn't mention.
Yeah.
This has the thing that I hate in all games, which is the communication. You can't really communicate together.
It's true. You can't.
Yeah.
You can just remind people what they should see.
You can say, "Hey, I only got 3 cards."
I think you're right. That's worth pointing out that you really cannot communicate.
Before you sum up,
Yeah.
I have one more thing that I'm really upset if we didn't talk about.
Okay.
Because it's something that you and I noticed about this game that's very interesting.
What's that?
So, as we mentioned, you can only draw cards from the Bard action.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm going to say?
No.
If you don't have either of you has no Bard,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it.
you're done. That's the only, because if you can't draw any cards, you can't draw any more Bards, and you can't draw any cards, and you will lose.
It's weird when
Like,
you realize
because you run
that
out of cards.
there's
Okay.
no way to. Yeah, it does, and that adds a little bit of push your luck. Once you realize that, you got to realize, okay, we got to
Yeah,
start.
I don't want to play my Bard because
Yeah,
or you don't want to throw your Bard away for damage or something, which is another thing we didn't really discuss either. But I think the idea of taking the damage and choosing the characters.
Oh, choosing the cards you have to throw away when you take damage is another very interesting
Yeah.
strategic decision. Some of the hardest that you're sitting there saying, I got to take a lot. Where do I
you got a
lose
5
that damage?
You need to take 5 damage, and you have like a 4, a 5, a 6, and a 7. I mean, you're gonna have to get rid of 2 of those cards. Like, do you get rid of the big one, or do you get rid of 4 and something else?
And it's another example of the game forcing you to make what look like
Suboptimal.
inefficient, suboptimal decisions, but for the good of the rest of the game. That's a through line through this whole
And
thing.
you might think to yourself, look, I want to hang on to this card that's really good, but I know the next enemy to come out is immune to the armor, say. And you think to yourself, it's painful. And this is what I was talking about you have to be prepared to do the thing that goes against your nature.
Yes, and maybe one of the reasons why that's so satisfying is you can't use simple heuristics. You can't be like, always throw out this, always do this. There's no always do this.
So you might think like, look, this 10 armor We can play that out against a strength of a 10 enemy, and you can just go forever. But the thing is, like, you can't do that, like, because you might have to just say, look, the next enemy is going to be immune to armor. Like, we've got some other thing going on. This is the card to get rid of. And sometimes you have to get rid of those cards that, like, you are desperate not to get rid of. And I think that's really fascinating. Or there's immunity and you have to push your luck a little bit. So really a lot of great, interesting, a lot of interesting choices. And sometimes, I mean, almost every round, there's no real, well, this is obvious. There's almost never an obvious answer.
Yeah. So I would just sum up by saying, you know, a very clean, tight, elegant strategy game that's more of a campaign than legacy. I think you might want to put that legacy part out of your mind. And so this is I would have closed by saying this is a new format for us, this sort of first impressions. Both of us are interested in playing more campaign legacy type games. So let us know if this is of any interest to you, or if you'd rather just wait until we finish the whole thing and then give you a quick 5-minute review, which we will try to do.
Are you giving this a number?
I don't know how to give a number. I mean, I would give it I like to put things in slots. You know, for this slot, I would give it a 10. But, you know, who is that going to hold up?
Yeah, you'd give it a 10.
For everything of what it does, it's exactly what I want.
Yeah, I was going to give it a 9.5, actually. With the caveat that once we're done with this, never going to play it again. I'm playing
which is a good thing. Which is great.
Which we like, you know.
But with the caveat that our ratings could change by the time we get to the end.
So as a first impression, after 25% of it, I give it a 9.5. You give it a 10. Could change, but again, I would not want to replay this, you know, like ever, because I feel like once it's like once you do the trick, you're done. You've seen the magic trick. Let's go to the next thing, right?
Sure, and I'd rather go to the dentist than to play regular Regicide over and over again.
So, yeah.
Like, it's a very cool thing, but I don't want. Doesn't have enough interest to keep playing it over and over again.
So I don't know whether it's going to take us a month or what. We're playing a lot of games, so I don't know how quickly we'll get through this. But in the rotation, but look for our final complete thoughts, but that maybe we'll do a spoiler and a non-spoiler.
We might have to do separate spoilers, but do let us know if this first impression thing is of any use, because we won't do it if no one cares.
Will we?
Well, we might do it anyway. We might do it.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us. See you in the next episode. I said episode.
Yeah, you kind of messed up.
I messed up,
but that's okay.
Ready? I'm Greg. I'm here with Jesse.
No. I got to do it because I'm gonna lead the discussion.
You just do this just to make it more confusing every time.
Switch it up. It keeps us sharp. I hate when the people just do their same thing. It becomes a caricature.